We are now 48 hours into the reinvention of Kamala Harris in the wake of what might very well be the only media interview she does between now and the November election. A 26-minute, pre-recorded, heavily produced and edited sit-down with Dana Bash of CNN, who came across like a parent trying to let their kid win at chess without making it look too much like they were trying to let the kid win at chess. Because the problem that the Kamala News Network, CNN, has is that there are so many things Harris has said in the past that contradict what she's saying now. And even in this forum, this had to be dealt with, but gently. Even if in the process it wound up shredding what was left of CNN's journalistic integrity. Take the issue of fracking, which Harris has in the past promised to ban, but now has to support because she needs to win Pennsylvania.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, in a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward.
So something magically happened between 2019 and 2020. But let's have a look to see what Harris actually said at that town hall in 2019.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right? And then there has to be legislation. But yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue.
Oh, how they cheered. In the past, she's also said that being an illegal migrant wasn't illegal, and this led to yet another non-answer.
You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally.
And then there was this question, a follow-up question, no less, about the economy and what Harris would do on day one of a Harris administration.
You have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%.
Dana Bash, of course, let it lie there, but a great follow-up would have been, Mrs. Harris, Madam Vice President, to be clear, you're bragging about getting inflation down to a point where it is still much higher than the 1.4% it was when Trump left office. Anyway, contrast this very gentle kid gloves treatment that Dana Bash gave Kamala Harris with the way Bash dealt with JD Vance a little while ago.
You guys seem to be struggling a little bit. Kamala Harris has been calling the shots. Says who? There's no evidence that Kamala Harris threw him overboard, called you and Donald Trump, and that is weird.
Sure.
You're saying Tim Walz doesn't have affection for his wife? I don't even understand that. They have done both. They have both policies, and they are trying to define you as well. You have been on the campaign trail questioning Tim Walz's military record. Governor Walz served 24 years.
Sure.
He even stayed after he could have retired because of 9/11, more than the country asked of him.
Note the difference, of course. Bash let Harris off the hook with barely any probing follow-ups that got to the heart of any issue. Yet when she was sitting down with JD Vance, she was in full attack dog mode and even parroting the talking points of the Harris campaign. But let's go back to Harris and CNN. Throughout that interview, Harris had one focus group tested line she wanted to make sure everyone heard loud and clear.
The most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. Let's be clear, my values have not changed. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed.
Okay, the values have not changed, but what are those values? Well, this new ad from the Trump campaign sheds a little light on them.
My values have not changed.
Reduce red meat specifically.
Yes.
The Boston Marathon bomber, they should be able to vote.
I think we should have that conversation.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes, I'm in favor of banning fracking. I am prepared to pass a Green New Deal. I support a mandatory buyback program.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals.
The idea that more police equals more safety, that's just wrong.
Policing, as we know, goes all the way back to slave patrols and that idea.
Yeah, you are absolutely right.
Where do you stand on defund the police?
We need to take a look at these budgets.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.
70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic.
Chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Yeah, I am radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing.
And some great voiceover work there by Rita Panahy here. Well done. But again, if CNN had any integrity, which of course we don't, they would have gone much harder on this and tried to pin down on Harris on what she really believes and exposed her as a radical California leftist who's into every bonkers progressive ideas from open borders to banning plastic straws. But no, they're just suffering, I guess, from a case of good old TDS, or Trump derangement syndrome. If only there was a cure for it. Hang on a second. Nicole Shanahan, who was RFK Jr.'s running mate until he dropped out and endorsed Trump, has just released an ad for a new treatment for TDS.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, Independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With Independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, Independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of Independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.